Welcome everybody this morning, the 5th of May. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you if you celebrate today. And welcome to Marketing Office Minutes with Jon Turino. And today I have a special guest with me, Molly Lucas, who is the CEO of Sacred Fire Creative, which does a whole host of things that I'll be asking Molly to talk to us about. For those of you who haven't seen this broadcast before or who haven't participated, you're invited to join us via Zoom. The URL is up here, https://j/799-344-5506. Just pop in and we'll be happy to have you participate. The whole idea is to make sure that we answer your questions and make sure that your burning issues are addressed. Feel free to pop in at any time and we will acknowledge you and bring you up. If you don't want to be on camera, we can just do it audio if you're a little camera shy. So in any case, Molly, good morning and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to do it. Tell us a little bit about your background and what Sacred Fire Creative does, Molly.
Sure. So Sacred Fire Creative is really about helping conscious business owners brand themselves, help with web design and marketing. And so it's a way of helping people represent themselves in a way that's authentic and true to what they do.
So when you work with a client, and I know that you take more of a holistic view to website development than just, writing code or putting a WordPress thing together. How do you get a client to understand what the purpose of a website is and how to design it with the right mission and that sort of thing?
Sure, that's a great question. I think I spend a lot of my time educating my clients on why we have a website or why they need one and figuring out if they really do need one. So, and most people do. I mean, what I do is I talk to them about the reasons that people go to their website and, the purpose behind it and also what they're doing when they get there. So just making sure that we know the flow of the user. So how they're navigating the site, how they're using it, and making sure that it's really clear so that once it's designed, once it's complete, then it's being used in the way that we want it to, so that we intend it to.
Okay, so what seems when you talk to somebody about this, when you get ready to architect a website, how do you start?
So when I get ready to architect a website, what I usually do is I go through a series of questions that are more about that person or the business owner and what their main goals are, not just in the website, but in their business. And so, for their business, it has to make sense with their overall business strategy. So, I go over all of the typical kind of branding questions and figure out, in essence, why do they have a website? What is it going to do for them? And what are people going to do when they get there? So making sure that there's a purpose and an overall strategy. So also knowing what they're going to do once they have the website. What do they do with it? Is it just a business card for them, or is it something that they're going to start pointing people to? Are they going to have a blog? A lot of questions really change how a site is structured. And so it's really important to know overall what their business strategy is before I start designing their website.
All right, thank you. Robin McKillop has joined us from Salem. Good morning, Robin. Oh, you're muted, Robin. Your microphone is muted. There you go.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning. Okay, so Molly, a basic website, what pages are essential to it besides the landing page?
Right. So definitely on your home page, you want to focus on having something that is emotionally grabbing for your clients, right? Something that will speak to your ideal clients and have a call to action. So it's a kind of a trendy word, but basically it's a button that somebody will click and take you to the next step. So you're leading somebody through the process and letting them know what they want to do next, what you want them to do next, right? So the homepage obviously has to have something like that, as well as some kind of information that acknowledges that when they get there, they're in the right place, right? So they need to know when they get there, they have that visual okay saying, okay, yes, this is exactly who I met, or, you know, this is the company that I was looking for, or this is exactly what I need, right? Okay. So have some quick questions that need to be answered right away. Some other things on a website that you need are like an about page. You know, people want to read a little bit more than, you know, just what you have out there. So they want to read about you. They want to know what kind of services you might offer. So those are some of the things. It really depends on the business. So, and also a contact page or some way of getting in touch with you. They want to know that you're a real live person and that you're not just, you know, some spam or something like that. They want to know that you're a real company out there. So.
Okay, so actually from the starting page then, from your home page, you want to actually design the rest of the website with the end result in mind, right? Whether that's getting someone to visit a brick and mortar store or buy something online or make a phone call or do something else, right?
Yes, definitely. And, you know, especially if you have a business like we just did a website for a restaurant and they're launching a new rewards program, that must be right on the homepage, right away above the fold so that it's easy for people to know, okay, this is new, this is what we're doing now, and this is what I want to click on next. So, you know, it's just, it can change, it can be, you know, updated and everything, but it has to be something that provides value right away and acknowledges that, yes, they're in the right place.
Okay. I hear a lot still today about search engine optimization and how you have to load your page text with keyword, anchor words and stuff like that. How important is that these days?
How important is SEO?
Yes.
It's very important. You know, it's as long as people are searching, then it's not going to go away, right? And especially if you have a business that is maybe considered more of a commodity, something like plumbers or something that somebody's going to look up because they don't know somebody in that field. You know, if they're going to just go to Google and or Bing or whatever and go search somebody and just whatever comes up, if you're not on that first page, then you're really missing out on the business, right? And nowadays, you can kind of get around that with ads, but people still want to see your URL up there on the organic search. They still want to see that, oh yeah, you're a legitimate business, whether you've been in business for a while or not. They just want to see what you're doing there. So SEO is really important, actually. And I should mention, John, that I'm really honored. I was just invited to become a faculty member at Portland Community College. And I'm going to be teaching SEO online and live this winter. So I mean, I think it's not going to go away, even if, you know, we're using social media to drive people to your website. It's something that is important to most businesses.
Well, that's super. Congratulations on that appointment to PCC. I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who could use that information, including probably web developers who don't have quite as much experience as you do. Yeah, keep us informed about those classes, and I'll put them up on the calendar I keep on my website. I also understand that keeping your website up to date and putting new information on it on a regular basis is also important to being on page 1 of the search results. Is that still true?
Yeah, that's very true. You know, search engines like to see new material. So there must be a place on your website where you can update it. And usually that's the blog for people, but you want to have just new material regularly. And it's just something that automatically will help improve your SEO, your ranking.
All right. And what about the actual content? Does it matter whether it's text or graphic or video?
Yeah, so a search engine like Google, they keep all of their algorithms private, and they also have RankBrain, which is, an automated system of machine learning. And so there's nobody that can really say, this is definitely what works or not. What they want you to do is provide content that is high quality content, and so when they say high quality, they mean original content. So they don't want you to just, they don't want duplicate content. So that's something that's important. They want to make sure that it's your own original content, and they want to make sure that it's relevant to your field. So whatever your business is, the main purpose of your website, you should be writing about that field in many different ways in your blog. And so one of the things that I've been helping with my web clients and just like ongoing SEO clients is looking for topics to write about that are maybe based around those keywords that are low competition but high traffic. So not necessarily picking the ones that everybody's picked already and climbing up that wall that is really tough, but looking at it from a different angle and saying, okay, there's some other ways to go about it here where you can gain some traction in SEO. So.
All right. Well, sounds like you're remodeling your house there, Molly.
It's pretty loud here. Sorry about that.
Okay. And so, we need the homepage, obviously, and that should have the welcome and the acknowledgement you're in the right place, and what do you want to do next, and anything that's new above the fold. The about page. What kind of content goes on the about page?
Well, there are really, to me, there are three things that your website really wants to address. And one of them is your expertise. And so you want to show that off on your about page. You want to show off that you're an expert in your field. Expertise, your authority, and your trustworthiness. So those three factors are ones that help encourage people to go ahead and buy from you. So having something on your website like you're a member of the Better Business Bureau or, other associations that inspire trust are really important. You can put that on your about page. You can also put material that, like I said, increases your expertise or perception of expertise and authority and trust.
Okay. And what about testimonials from past clients or customers? Is that appropriate for the about page, or should they be kind of scattered throughout the website on various pages?
Yeah, so the testimonials, reviews, especially independent reviews, ones that are, on Google or Facebook or Yelp or, those independent reviews, those are really important to search engines and also to people buying because they perceive trust, the trustworthiness. And so I actually encourage my clients to put them on every page of your site, just a little bit, not like you're, flooding your pages with it, but you could have, a slider with that information or just a little quote, something like that from one of your top clients. It doesn't have to be long, but something that also, again, inspires trust is really important.
Okay. So we have the about page, we have the home page. What other pages are important to a website?
Well, again, it really depends on the business,
Okay.
but it has to be, you have to have the pages that people expect. Now, some people get really creative with the titles of their pages, and that throws people off because they can't find the information. So if you are going to call your blog something else, then still keeping like the URL as blog will really help people be able to find it, right? And so, some of the things that you want on your site, if you're like a coach, you want to have your services or packages. You want to have how people work with you, right? So if they can sign up for online classes, however it is that people work with you, that's what you want to have on your site.
Okay. And what about contact information? I've seen a lot of websites where oftentimes trying to find a phone number or trying to find an email address is like almost impossible.
Yeah, I think that what happened is spammers kind of ruined it for everybody, and it's difficult because if you put your email on there, then the spammers will get you, and nobody wants that. So oftentimes people will put just email and then have a link to their email, and oftentimes people are putting their phone numbers. Again, that inspires trust. And we're seeing less spam through phone than through email. But even having the contact page form, it's gone in and out of style. Sometimes, people have said, oh, you don't want to have that anymore, but it's still pretty convenient for people who maybe they don't have access to their email at the moment and just want to send you a quick message. So it's just another way of giving people access to you. But either way, on your contact page, you can also have your social media links, because if you are connected through a third party or a group or something like that, then you're still going to be easier to access for people. And so you want to make sure that even though you want to avoid the spammers, that you still have a way that people can access you.
Yeah, I could certainly empathize with that. I mean, my website originally had my email address on it, and most of the email I get into that Jon Turino box is junk and spam. So I took that off and added the contact page, and I kind of like contact pages. They see, you got a place to put your question, and it's, if you don't get crazy and ask for blood type and DNA and mother's maiden name for stuff like that, that's pretty handy, and I get some pretty good things from that. So, and yeah, obviously a services page and or a products page kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And how about the e-commerce stuff, where you're actually selling something online?
Yeah, so when you're selling something online, I think it goes back to the trustworthiness. You want to make sure you have all of the signals that tell people this is a legitimate site. These are true products that you can purchase, and that you want to inspire trust in them and say, yes, go ahead and purchase my products. So having images of those products, good descriptions. You want to have information like a PayPal symbol or a Better Business Bureau, some kind of symbol that says to people that they can trust this, and they won't get ripped off, or they won't, their money won't just go nowhere. You also want to use the secure socket layer, and or when you see the HTTPS on the URL, and that it's encrypted, and so that when they're putting in their information, like if you're asking for their name and address to send them the product, that it's protected. So just making sure that you have those protections in place is really important.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to liability and stuff like that, I know the banks changed the rules not too long ago about liability if you, as a person, are storing the information from people, like if you store their name and address and card numbers and stuff like that, and something goes wrong and you get hacked, you're liable and you're responsible, which is a great reason to use something like PayPal or Square or Stripe, or even set up your own merchant services account for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there are so many different merchant services that are very good these days. So people, definitely need to keep their clients' information safe.
Yeah, I use PayPal and on most of my stuff, and sometimes for European sales, it's Stripe. That seems to be more popular over there. So.
Yeah, I use both. I like them both. So.
All right, super. Robin, you have any questions for Molly about websites? For those of you who don't know Robin, she is an expert on doing videos and on online business strategy altogether. Any questions, Robin? You're muted again, so. Okay. All right. Let me think if I have another question or two on websites. One of the things that I've seen too often is too much small print. What do you think about typefaces and type sizes and, fancy script and all that sort of stuff versus, good old-fashioned Arial or Times Roman?
Yeah, well, people try to set themselves apart with different fonts and different styles. And again, it goes back to what kind of business do you have? And but no matter what, it's really important that it's easy to read, easy to use. And I think another important thing is to make sure you look at your site on your phone and don't just design it for, people who are on their computers. I mean, there's a lot of evidence today that more and more people are going to be using their phones, using mobile to look at their website. And so having that mobile user in mind means that you have to take a look at the font sizes. I kind of err on the side of the bigger fonts. I don't know if that's because my eyes are getting worse or what, but I'm with you. I definitely think, it has to be really easy to read. And another thing I would just throw in there, I know you haven't really asked this, but I think it's really important to keep websites simple. People get really, aggressive about how much information they want to put on there. And there's a place for everything, but if you really want to lead somebody through that buying process, or, if you want them to learn more, if it's an educational site, then taking away all the distractions is going to be really important, for your users. I know for me, it's very nice when I have a site that it takes away all the distractions. It's just simple, it's calming, and it's very clear what people are supposed to do. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's, some websites have like carousels of photos and stuff like that, and you're trying to read something and it changes on you and that sort of thing. And one of the most annoying things is when there's so much graphic information and so much other stuff that they take forever to load.
Right. Yeah. People really need to work hard on getting those page load speeds down. And that is one of the biggest factors of SEO. And people don't think of it as SEO, but that is so important to the search engines. If you get a site that doesn't load as quickly, then, you've lost half people there. So I forget what our attention spans are now, but they're just going lower and lower. I think, if a site doesn't load within a couple seconds, you got to take a look at what you can do to change that.
Yeah, I mean, the latest statistics I've seen are 5 to 7 seconds. And back on the mobile thing, it's anywhere from 50 to 65 or even 70% of people who are now using phones or tablets. So if you don't have a website that's designed to handle both computers and mobile, or, it doesn't have to be, I guess in some cases you make an actual separate website, but the responsive design, as I understand it, can be both. And the Google search, if you're searching on a mobile device, will not find you if you're not mobile friendly anymore. So that's another reason for making sure that you consider the mobile applications.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and Google is rolling something out called accelerated mobile pages. And so it's just something you're going to hear about more and more and just pay attention to. So it's just making it very clear that page speed and mobile-friendly websites are going to be very, very important to your ranking for Google.
Okay.
Robin's agreeing with us there on that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Let me think what else. We talked about contact information. We talked about making it simple. What about the use of color on websites? How important is that?
Well, it really depends on, and I keep saying it depends, but it really depends on your ideal client, right? Okay. And what they're going to respond to. So, for example, I have a photography website, and having like that black background to kind of take away all of that distraction and it's more artistic. I feel like, that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for everybody else. If I had a business coach who wanted to have a black background, it would turn a lot of people off, and turn people away from the site. So I do advise my clients, when I have some clients who they don't want any speck of white on their website, and it's hard to look at, without some white space. So you want to make sure that you get a few different opinions, and keep in mind who the end user is. It's not always you. So even if I don't personally, want a site that doesn't have any white space, that might work for a certain clientele. So, just being really aware of what colors you're using and who it's for is really important.
Yeah, I was thinking actually more in terms of the psychology of color, and that, for example, dark blue, the IBM blue is associated more with trust, whereas green may be associated with either money or natural things. And, red has excitement tied to it, and orange is energy and that sort of thing. And yellow people would agree with more. I mean, there's whole batches of information on the web about psychology of color.
And those are all still true. I just wouldn't get too caught up in saying that that's the only way that it can be. So, yeah.
All right. So that's a detail to put on a checklist and say, okay, if I used a ugly color, or I've done it okay, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're still affected by all the typical psychology of color, psychology of sales. Those still affect all of us, even if we don't want them to. So just being aware of that and knowing what you're saying with those colors. So, yeah.
Okay, super. And what are the biggest pitfalls that you would warn people against in terms of getting their website developed? I mean, you can go online, for example, with Wix or some of these other MoPro, and they'll build you a website for anywhere from 2 pages to 5 pages, and call it for a couple $100, or if somebody wanted a custom-made website, it could cost $10,000. What are your advice to folks on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I feel like I have definite opinions about those services,
Sure.
but there's a place for them. It really depends. If people have a certain budget, they don't have a budget for a website and they want to go to a free one. I think for somebody just starting out temporarily, it might make sense. And I think that it's important for you to own your website and be able to change it yourself. I think it's important to know, how your website is built and kind of the longevity of it. Whether if you have a custom site that is going to cost you $10,000 to make every single change, then you got to consider, what you're doing there. And then also, as technology changes, will the platform you choose be able to keep up, that sort of thing. And also looking at, again, I go back to searchability. So are you using a platform that is conducive to search? And I tend to go with WordPress a lot just because search engines like it. It's very easy to go in there and adjust what you need for the purpose of SEO. And really knowing that where you start. So if you start on Wix, it's gonna cost you more in the long run to move to something else, right? If you start with a custom site, it's gonna again continue to cost you money for that custom site. So just knowing what kind of business you have and kind of the long-term effects. I think a lot of business owners don't really think long-term. They're just thinking like, well, right now this would be great. And I try to ask people when they're talking about website design or redesign. I ask them, I say, well, are you going to have this business for another couple years and then be done? Or are you going to have this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? And that's really important to know. And I tell them, oh, okay, well, in that case, if you're going to have a business for a long time, then we better build it so that it will last, that it'll have that good structure foundation. But if not, then yeah, sure, do Wix for a couple years and then shut it down. Like that would be okay too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful easy to let the urgent get in your way instead of the important. And I see a lot of people do that, not just with websites, but also with other things. Like, oops, I need to do a quick mailing, or I need to do a blog, or I need to do an email campaign, and they don't necessarily think about making sure that everything looks the same, that the branding is consistent, that the messages are the same, and things like that. I mean, that's the kind of work I do, is helping people with that, so that when they do come to you for a website, they have some idea of what it is they're trying to accomplish with it. So, great information today, Molly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're just about out of time here for our half hour. Again, we will have another session coming up next Thursday morning at 9 a.m. My May the 12th fellow dropped out because of a scheduling conflict, but I have somebody who actually is volunteered to pop on with us, who was going to be talking about virtual assistants to help with marketing. He's a friend of mine from, 15 years ago now. Used to be the district manager for the farmers agency that and hired me, and I became an agent. He's now living in the Philippines or Singapore or someplace in Asia, and it'll be midnight his time, 9 a.m. ours, but he's going to pop in on May the 12th. And then our last in this first 5 episodes is going to be done on May the 19th. And let me see there. That's going to be Jeannie Park from Compass Rose Video. So she will be up. Let me get that up there. So let me remove this little text here. So Jeannie will be next week. Or on the May the 19th, rather. Ted Johnson will be on the 12th. And, of course, today we have Molly Lucas, who has given us a bunch of wonderful information about website design, and things like that. So if you're watching this replay, please do tune in next Thursday or the following Thursday and participate. Zoom is very easy to use, free, and we'll get you on here. Thanks again, Molly. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. And Robin, thanks for joining us as well.